For 4 years, I played the part of the perfect, subservient husband to Victoria Sterling. For years, ever since the video of her stepbrother, Caleb Vance, hitting and killing my brother in his sports car went public. In the aftermath, my own girlfriend, Ava Monroe, hired a shark of a lawyer for Caleb, not for me, and got him cleared of any real consequence. I was alone, powerless, until Victoria Sterling, Caleb's own stepsister, stepped in. She claimed to be turning against her own family for the sake of justice. She found me a lawyer, helped me gather witness statements and evidence, and ultimately saw Caleb sent away. When the dust settled, she proposed. I said yes. And now, 4 years into our marriage, I was in her home office and saw an unread email on her laptop. A birthday message from Caleb. Attached was a selfie of him, grinning on a beach somewhere tropical. The timestamp in the corner read yesterday. Happy birthday, sis. It's been 4 years since I got Mason Carter's brother's heart. No rejection, no complications. I owe you and Ava my life. Thanks for giving it back to me. I just feel bad for you, having to stay married to that guy just to keep him from making trouble. Victoria's reply was sent just this morning. As long as you're happy, I'd do anything. Reading their words, a grin spread across my face, wide and bright. They thought they could get away with murder and still find happiness. For years. Their time was up. I carefully screenshotted the exchange, saving the evidence before quickly backing out of her email. I slipped out of the study, but as I opened the door, I ran right into her. Victoria's brow furrowed instantly. What are you doing in my study? In 4 years of what the world saw as a storybook marriage, she had given me a position at Sterling Corp, let me into her life, but 2 places remained off limits: her home study and her corporate office. Before she could finish, I threw my arms around her, my body trembling. My voice was a choke sob. Victoria, I had the nightmare again. I saw Liam. The blood. He was so still. I got scared. I couldn't find you anywhere. I even checked in here. The icy suspicion in her posture melted away. She sank into my embrace, her hand coming up to rub my back in slow, soothing circles. I'm here now, Mason. It's okay. I'm right here. I know Liam's death is a wound that won't ever fully heal, she murmured into my shoulder. But the man responsible is gone. He paid his price. We have to let go of the past and live our lives. I managed a week, I know, while a storm of pure hatred churned in my gut. She had no idea I knew the truth. She had no idea I knew her hands were just as bloody as Caleb's. Marrying me was just part of the performance, a grand act to ensure her beloved stepbrother escaped true justice. Fighting back a wave of nausea, I held her and cried. She dropped everything, consumed by guilt, and spent the next hour patiently consoling me. Once I had recovered, she hesitated before speaking. Honey, there's something I have to tell you. Caleb is back. He's flying in tomorrow. Seeing me freeze, she rushed to explain. I wasn't going to bring it up now, but you know he's still my family. No matter what he did, he has to come home. But I was worried about you. The woman who commanded boardrooms with an iron will now sounded small, tentative. Asking the brother of a victim to welcome the killer back home was cruel, especially when that brother was her husband. But I just wiped a tear from my eye and gave her a gentle, tired smile. I didn't even flinch. I know you're in a tough spot. It's okay. I'm okay. I reached up, smoothing the worry from her brow. You've done so much for me. You turned on your own family for me. It's time I let it go, too. I felt her hand tighten on my back as she leaned in and kissed me, a soft press of lips. Mason, I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you. I chuckled softly, pushing her away playfully. Come on, we've been married 4 years. You'd think we were still newlyweds. I paused, then added, since Caleb's back, we should throw him a welcome home party. To clear the air. Let me handle it. Victoria let out a breath she'd clearly been holding. She pulled me into a tight hug, the guilt in her eyes deepening into something profound. Mason, my sweet Mason, you're too good. I'm never letting you go. I wrapped my arms around her shoulders, a bitter, ironic smile on my face that she couldn't see. Is that so? Well then, you're about to find out just how good I can be. For 4 years, I was more than just the respected, adored son-in-law of the Sterling family. I was a key player at Sterling Corp. I spearheaded projects that brought in massive profits and championed benefits that made employees loyal. 2 years ago, when Victoria told me the company was struggling and desperately needed a partnership with Monroe Industries, I agreed without protest. Ava Monroe, my ex, the woman who abandoned me in my darkest hour to defend my brother's killer, was their CEO. For the sake of Victoria's company, I swallowed my pride and made peace with Ava. And now, for Victoria's sake, I was offering to host a party for the man who killed my brother. How could she not be moved by such self-sacrifice? How could our friends and family not adore me for it? The night of the party, the cream of New York's high society filled the grand ballroom of the Sterling Tower. Caleb Vance, dressed in a tailored black suit, made his entrance with Ava Monroe on his arm. He carried himself with the easy confidence and swagger of a man returning from a European holiday, not a 4-year stint in prison. Of course, he was returning from a holiday, a very long one, which Victoria had personally arranged. Caleb's eyes found Victoria instantly. He jogged over, pulling her into a tight hug. "Sis, I miss you so much. 4 years in that hellhole, but we can finally see each other again." As he spoke, his eyes shot daggers at me. He turned back to Victoria, his voice a spoiled wine. "This party is amazing. You did all this for me, right? I love it." Victoria smiled, patting his cheek indulgently. "This was all Mason's idea. Come on, say hello to your brother-in-law." Caleb's smile froze. His gaze shifted to me, and he forced a tight, insincere grin. "Hey, nice to see you." The party began, and Caleb moved through the crowd like a shark, his easy charm drawing laughter from clusters of guests. But I could feel his gaze on me, a constant, predatory pressure. Finally, when Victoria stepped away to use the restroom, Caleb made his move. He found me in a quiet corner. Without a word, he tripped, sloshing a full glass of red wine all over the front of my white jacket. "Oh man, I am so sorry, Mason," he said, his voice dripping with mock sincerity. "I was just coming over to thank you for this incredible party, and I guess my hand slipped. You okay? Need me to help you clean that up?" He just stood there, a smirk playing on his lips, making no move to help. I pulled a handkerchief from my pocket and began dabbing at the stain, my expression calm. "It's fine, Caleb. Go enjoy yourself. I'll get it clean." My complete lack of reaction seemed to ignite his fury. He slammed his empty glass onto a nearby table, dropping the pretense. "What's with the nice guy act, Mason? You think playing the victim is going to make my sister feel sorry for you? You're pathetic." His eyes flickered to something behind me. He leaned in close, his voice a triumphant whisper. "Let me ask you something. You think my sister is going to let a man who bullies her poor, traumatized brother stay her husband?" Then, he swung his own hand back and slapped himself across the face hard. His eyes widened in feigned shock just as Victoria came rushing back. She immediately ran to Caleb's side, shielding him as he stumbled back. "Caleb, what happened?" Caleb huddled against her, his lower lip trembling. I just wanted to thank Mason," and he started yelling at me. He said I was shameless. He slapped me, then grabbed my drink and threw it on himself to frame me. Victoria's gaze shot to me, taking in my wine-stained jacket and the droplets still on my face. "Sis, I don't get why he hates me so much," Caleb whimpered. "Is it still about the accident? I told him I didn't mean for it to happen. I did 4 years for it. Why won't he just let it go?" Victoria's face hardened, but not at me, at Caleb. Her brow was a tight knot of fury. She let go of Caleb and snapped. "No one is talking about what happened back then. Stop trying to make this about that." Caleb's mouth fell open, a look of pure disbelief on his face. I stepped forward, playing the peacemaker. "It's okay, Victoria. I'm sure Caleb didn't mean it. It's supposed to be a happy occasion. Let's not ruin it over something so small." But Victoria's expression remained grim. She grabbed Caleb's arm and dragged him away. The onlookers dispersed, and the party hummed back to life. I slipped away and followed them. In a secluded corner of the mezzanine, Caleb finally ripped his arm from Victoria's grasp. "What the hell, Vic? Why are you taking his side against me? He's an outsider." Seeing Caleb's wounded expression, Victoria sighed, her tone softening. "We both know what really happened, Caleb. Mason has been through enough. Just leave him alone. For my sake." Caleb's eyes widened. "What are you talking about? Don't tell me you're actually starting to see him as your husband. You only married him to help me get away with it. That was the deal," he hissed. "It's been years. I did my fake time. It's time to get rid of him." Victoria shook her head. "We owe him. I've already decided I'm going to spend the rest of my life making it up to him." But as she turned to leave, Caleb wrapped his arms around her waist from behind. "I don't believe you. Victoria, it's me you love, right? We're not even related by blood. I know you love me. Why else would you do all this for me?" His words struck a nerve. Victoria froze, her hands trembling. Finally, succumbing to whatever dark desire lived between them, she turned, cupped his face in her hands, and kissed him with a desperate hunger. I quietly stopped the recording on my phone, saved the video, and walked away. When Victoria and Caleb came back downstairs, the party was winding down. She looked for me, but couldn't find me. It wasn't until she got home that she found me in the back of a dark storage closet, curled into a ball, my head in my hands. She opened the door, and I pretended not to notice, my feigned sobs growing louder. Mason! She rushed to my side, kneeling to wrap her arms around me. I was looking everywhere for you. What happened? Why are you crying like this? I quickly turned my head, wiping my eyes on my sleeve before forcing a smile. It's nothing. I was just putting some things away and twisted my ankle. I was hiding in here so you wouldn't laugh at me. Victoria stared at me, her eyes filled with pity. Mason, you know, your smile is the most heartbreaking when you're lying. I could see right through it. I looked away, unable to meet her gaze. She gently wiped a tear from my cheek. Tell me, why were you hiding in here, crying? I bit my lip for a moment, then threw my arms around her neck and let out a raw, broken sob. At the party, Kayla mentioned Liam, and I just started thinking, if Liam were still alive, he'd be about Caleb's age now, and I'll never get to see him grow up. At the mention of Liam, a flicker of panic crossed Victoria's face before it was replaced by overwhelming guilt. She held me tighter, her voice thick with self-reproach. It's all my fault. I was so busy with the party, I wasn't paying attention to how you were feeling. Tell me, honey, what can I do to make you feel better? I let my eyes fall, shaking my head. You don't have to do anything. Just, let me see you more. That's all I need. I looked up at her, my eyes pleading. Victoria, can I come to your office sometimes? I keep having these nightmares that you're going to leave me. Maybe if we could just have lunch together, or talk more, they'll stop. She hesitated, her brow creasing. She had always kept me away from her office. It was her fortress, full of secrets she didn't want me to know. I pulled my arms back, affecting a casual tone. It's okay, if you're too busy, forget I said anything. There you go, lying again. She tapped my forehead gently, a soft smile on her face. Of course you can. It's a small request. I can certainly do that for you. My face lit up with genuine-looking delight. I leaned in and kissed her on the cheek. You're the best, Vic. The surprise on her face was real, a spark of hope igniting in her eyes. She pulled me into a hug, and I let my head rest against her neck. For a split second, I almost couldn't hide the loathing in my eyes. For the next 2 weeks, I became a fixture in Victoria's office. I brought homemade lunches we'd eat at her desk, and I'd wait for her to finish work so we could drive home together. Caleb, who had been given a token position at Sterling Corp., was not pleased. He'd make snide remarks and try to undermine me whenever he saw me with Victoria. But after she reprimanded him a few times, he backed off. One afternoon, I was waiting for Victoria to finish a call when I ran into Caleb outside the break room. He was in a foul mood and his eyes narrowed, ready to launch a verbal attack. But before he could speak, we overheard voices from inside. Mr. Carter and Ms. Sterling are together so much now. Have you seen the way she smiles at him? It's so real. They're my favorite power couple. I know, right? He's handsome, he's kind, and he and the boss look perfect together. Not like that other one. Ha ha. You mean Caleb? I can't stand him either. He's supposedly her brother, but everyone can see how he looks at her. It's creepy. Seriously. And for what? He has zero ability and a massive ego. He's not fit to shine Mason Carter's shoes. I watched Caleb's face twist into a mask of pure fury. He stormed in the break room and hurled his coffee mug against the floor, where it shattered. You pathetic little gossips, he roared. You dare talk about me behind my back? I'll have my sister fire every single one of you. He jabbed a finger in their direction. And you think Mason Carter is some kind of saint? The only reason my sister married him was for me. As he spoke, his face suddenly contorted in pain. He clutched his chest, gasping, and sank to his knees. Just then, Victoria came running down the hall. She scooped Caleb up in her arms without a second thought. As she carried him past me, she was already murmuring urgently, Caleb, calm down. Breathe. Deep breaths. You can't get this worked up. Not with your heart. The moment they were gone, I took the elevator straight to the executive floor. Victoria's office. She always had her top assistant, a woman I knew as Ms. Hayes, guard the door when she wasn't there. But Caleb's little drama had pulled Victoria away, and Ms. Hayes was off on a scheduled errand. The door was unlocked. I slipped inside. In her haste, Victoria had left her computer unlocked. I quickly found traces of Caleb everywhere. Folders of photos, vacation pictures from the years he was supposedly in prison but was actually traveling the world with her. I almost had to laugh at the twisted sincerity of it all. Then my eyes landed on a folder. The name was generic, but it was flagged with the highest level of security encryption. A voice in my head told me, this is it. I knew that 3 incorrect password attempts would trigger a silent alarm to security. My heart pounded. With trembling fingers, I typed in Caleb's birthday. Access denied. He tried my own birthday. Access, a string of numbers flashed in my mind. The date. I carefully typed it in. As my cursor hovered over the enter key, I heard a voice from the hallway. Ms. Sterling, you're back. It was Ms. Hayes. The words had barely left her mouth when the office door flew open. It was Victoria. I ducked into the private, adjoining lounge, my back pressed against the door, holding my breath. The alarm hadn't gone off. The password was right, but I had exited the folder in my haste. If she so much as glanced at her desktop, she'd see the recently accessed files. Right now, though, she wasn't thinking about her computer. Through the crack in the door, I saw her frantically tearing through cabinets, her face pale and beaded with sweat. She couldn't find what she was looking for. She turned and strode purposefully towards the lounge. Towards me. Cold sweat trickled down my forehead. There was nowhere to hide in here but a small sofa and a desk. Just as her hand reached for the doorknob, another voice stopped her. Ms. Sterling, are you looking for this? It was Ms. Hayes, holding up a portable defibrillator. Victoria spun around, snatched it from her hand, and raced out of the office without a backward glance. Even with Caleb back, she was prepared. Defibrillators in the office, in her car, at home, always ready for his fragile, stolen heart to give out. A cold smile touched my lips. She could play guardian angel for a while, but what wasn't rightfully his would eventually have to be returned. The office fell silent again. Ms. Hayes, ever the diligent assistant, had closed the main door after Victoria left. I crept back to the desk. I typed in the password again. A date I would never forget. 11/21, the day Victoria and I signed our marriage certificate. The day she used my name to sign the legal document that let Caleb Vance walk away from justice. I plugged in a USB drive, and, as the files copied, my eyes scanned the contents, absorbing everything. It was exactly what I was looking for. For 4 years, this was the one project she had kept completely secret from me, even after I had worked my way into her inner circle. It was a financial black hole, a project she personally oversaw that constantly hemorrhaged money, but was never cut. Even after I'd earned her trust, I never heard a whisper of her abandoning it. It wasn't until recently that I discovered the overseas holding company for the project was run by someone with the surname Monroe. All signs pointed to Ava. Even though I had forgiven Ava 2 years ago, clearing the way for them to work together openly, Victoria still kept this project buried in the shadows. There could only be one reason. It involved something dark, something that couldn't see the light of day, something that broke the law or took a life. Back home, I studied the contents of the drive. I had been right. The project was a massive, off-the-books payout to Ava Monroe. For years ago, Victoria had used Ava's connections at a top hospital to get a list of new patient medical reports. On that list was my brother, Liam Carter. His heart was a perfect match for Caleb Vance. So Victoria had Ava get close to me, start a relationship, and learn the intimate details of my life and Liam's. Then, they engineered a car crash. Afterward, using their wealth and influence, they had Liam's barely living body secretly transferred from the ER. He still had a chance, a sliver of hope. But to give his heart to Caleb, they cut him open on an operating table and took it. Every day, since I learned the truth, has been a living hell. But I had no proof, no power to fight them. It was just me and Liam against the world, 2 orphans with nothing but each other. I couldn't let his killers walk free. So I played their game. I married the monster. She thought she had outsmarted me, using our marriage to sign a plea deal that set Caleb free. She concocted a story about him being sent to prison, then flew him to a private resort overseas. She kept me by her side, playing the part of the perfect, guilt-ridden wife, to monitor me and make sure I never dug too deep. She had no idea she had walked right in my trap. For 4 years, I played the perfect husband. I used her guilt, my feigned grief, and every resource I could get my hands on to uncover the truth, piece by tiny piece. Now it was time to close the net. I placed the USB drive into a wooden box hidden in the back of a closet, a box already crammed with 4 years of carefully collected evidence. One unprofitable project meant nothing, but combined with everything else I had, it meant everything. Victoria came home late. She had stayed with Caleb at the hospital until a full battery of tests confirmed he was stable. She found me in the library, reading. She crept up behind me and fastened a heavy, expensive-looking watch around my wrist. It looks just as I imagined. Strong, sophisticated. It suits you perfectly. Do you like it, honey? I closed my book without answering. She pressed on, her voice placating. I know I neglected you today, Mason. I'm sorry, but Caleb has a heart condition. My father insists I look after him. Please try to understand. The old me, the character I played, would have been magnanimous. He would have offered to visit Caleb himself, bringing flowers and well wishes. But to keep a woman as cautious as Victoria off balance, you couldn't always be so agreeable. Of course, I said, my tone flat. He's your brother. You grew up with him. You You should be worried. My clipped, resentful tone actually made her smile. What's this? Are you jealous? Of course not. I glanced at her, then added casually, I heard some of the staff gossiping. They said Caleb's had this heart condition since he was a kid, but he seems pretty healthy now. Did he have some kind of surgery? Victoria's face stiffened. She quickly changed the subject. Really? I haven't been close with him for a long time, so I'm not sure. Oh, by the way, the company's IPO launch is in 7 days. After I get through this, how about I take you on a real vacation? We can finally make up for the honeymoon we never had. She rattled off a list of destinations, speaking about them with an easy familiarity. I knew it was because she had already been to every single one of them with Caleb over the last 4 years. What do you think, honey? I'll have Leah book the tickets right now. The night of the launch, we'll just disappear and relax. Under her expectant gaze, I pretended to think it over. Then I leaned in and kissed her on the lips. Fine. You're forgiven. She beamed and rushed out of the room to make the call. She had no idea that I had no intention of going on vacation with her. We had no future. On the day of the launch, I was going to give her and Caleb a gift they would never forget. For the next 7 days, I remained cool and distant. In response, Victoria's attention on me only intensified. She would find excuses to stop by my office during the day and turn down multiple dinner invitations from Caleb just to be home with me on time. Caleb seethed, but Victoria didn't seem to notice. Finally, the day of the IPO launch arrived. Victoria stood on stage, commanding the room in a sharp, elegant power suit, delivering a speech about the future of Sterling Corp. Ava Monroe, as a key partner, stood beside her, with Caleb beaming at her side. Victoria aimed a remote at the massive screen behind her, ready to click through a presentation of the company's greatest achievements. But the moment the first slide appeared, the room erupted. What is that? The guests and media stared, their eyes wide with shock. The screen wasn't showing corporate profits. It was a detailed log of financial crimes and fraudulent transactions, implicating both Victoria Sterling and Ava Monroe. That was just the opening act. The screen changed, and a video began to play automatically. It was the footage from the welcome party of Victoria and Caleb, locked in a passionate, desperate kiss. The three of them on stage froze, turning to stare at the screen in horror. In the front row, Victoria's father, the patriarch of the Sterling family, clutched his chest and was hastily escorted out by his wife. Victoria's first instinct was to look at me. Her face was as white as a sheet. She lifted the microphone, her voice trembling. No, Mason, that's not. It's a misunderstanding. Don't believe what you see. I stood in the audience, meeting her gaze across the chaotic room. My voice was calm and clear. Victoria, there's no need to lie, because I'm the one who filmed it. Caleb, who had snatched the remote from Victoria's hand and was frantically trying to shut the presentation down, froze at my words. He spun around, his eyes burning with hate, and charged off the stage towards me. It was you. You did this. You psychotic bastard. You think you could get away with this? I'll ruin you. You'll never work in this city again. Victoria raced after him, intercepting him before he could reach me. Stop it. Calm down and don't you dare touch him, she screamed. She turned back to me, her eyes a maelstrom of guilt and terror. So that's why you've been so cold. You saw this video and you thought I was cheating on you with Caleb. Her voice cracked. Mason, I can explain. It was just a moment it was about family, about protecting him. I swear to you, I have never truly betrayed you. If you can just forgive me this one time, I will do anything. I'll pay any price. I let out a short, sharp laugh and shook my head. I raised the second remote in my hand and pressed a button. The screen behind her changed again, now displaying the text of an old email exchange. It's been 4 years since I got Mason Carter's brother's heart. No rejection, no complications. I owe you and Ava my life. As long as you're happy, I'd do anything. Victoria stared blankly at the screen, then back at my face and my all-knowing expression. The last trace of color drained from her cheeks. Amid the rising tide of gasps and furious whispers from the crowd, I asked her, my voice ringing through the ballroom. Victoria, how dare you say you never betrayed me? Your entire relationship with me was a lie from the very beginning. You only got close to me so you could steal my brother's heart for yours. I let the accusation hang in the air. A monster like you. Why do you have to even speak to me about love? My words were sharp, loud, and direct. Paired with the email on the screen, the truth clicked into place for everyone. The reporters Victoria had invited to celebrate her company's triumph smelled blood. Cameras flashed, lenses aimed squarely at the crumbling trio on the stage. Creating a media storm was one thing. This was enough for that. But the evidence I had spent 4 years collecting, proof of how they conspired to murder my brother, of the illegal organ trade, of the criminal foundation their company was built on, that had been delivered to the district attorney's office first thing this morning, under my name. Victoria stood as if nailed to the floor. Ignoring the blinding flash of cameras, she stared at me, her voice a hollow whisper. So, you knew. You knew all along. Suddenly, a dark shape lunged at me. It was Caleb, his face contorted with rage. He had grabbed a chair from the front row and was swinging it directly at my head. But before it could connect, Victoria threw herself in front of me. The chair crashed against her back with a sickening thud. She let out a choked gasp but stood her ground, shielding me. She kicked Caleb's feet out from under him, sending him sprawling to the floor. Her eyes were bloodshot, her voice a raw scream. I told you not to touch him. We owe him for what we did. Don't you understand me? She lunged forward, stomping her heel down hard on the hand Caleb had used to swing the chair. The act was so feral, so out of control, that even I was taken aback. In that moment, it was clear that between the two of them, Victoria was the truly unhinged one. Caleb let out a piercing shriek of pain, scrambling away and crying out to Ava. Ava, help me. She's lost her mind. Do something. Ava Monroe just stared at him, her expression cold. You went too far, Caleb. Victoria's right. We owe Mason. You shouldn't have taken what you got and then tried to hurt him more. When she said the last few words, her voice trembled. She walked towards me, her hands clenched into fists, her gaze fixed on the floor. Mason, I can't believe you found out. I guess. I owe you an apology for what happened back then. She took a shaky breath. I had reasons. My family's business was failing. I had no choice but to do what Victoria said. I had to get close to you, betray you, and help them take your brother's life for a heart. For years, I told myself I didn't feel guilty. I had everything I ever wanted. I told myself I was just helping Caleb get the treatment he needed. But after I left you, I realized the person I really loved wasn't him. Somewhere along the way, I had actually fallen in love with you. She finally looked up, her eyes pleading. So now you've gotten your revenge. You've destroyed our launch, our reputations. Are you satisfied? Can you? Can you find it in your heart to forgive me for what I did? I couldn't comprehend the audacity it took to stand there and beg for my forgiveness. A wave of pity washed over me, not for her, but for the pathetic smallness of her world. In the eyes of these spoiled heirs, this public humiliation was the worst form of revenge they could imagine. They thought they could spin this, bury it with lies, and maybe even turn the tables and drag me down with them. They had no idea. When I decided to do this, I decided to finish it. The justice they owed me wouldn't come from public opinion. It would come from a law. I said nothing, just gave her a contemptuous smirk. At that moment, the wail of sirens cut through the air. 3 police cruisers screeched to a halt outside. Officers swarmed in, surrounding Victoria, Ava, and the whimpering Caleb. We received a formal complaint, the lead detective announced. The 3 of you are under suspicion of conspiracy to commit murder, illegal organ trafficking, and multiple counts of corporate fraud. You need to come with us. Ava's composure finally shattered. You call the cops? What evidence could you possibly have? Caleb stared at the officers in terror, clutching his chest and hyperventilating as if he might pass out at any second. Only Victoria remained strangely still. After a moment of shock, a look of profound pain settled on her face. Her eyes, filled with despair, locked onto mine. I see now what you showed on the screen. That was just the tip of the iceberg. Her voice was hollow. You knew everything, and you stayed by my side, setting this trap. This entire time, her voice broke. Mason, tell me, when you married me 4 years ago, it was never about love, was it? It was for this. For today. I met her gaze without flinching. Yes, I said, this is what you owe me, and what you owe my brother. My words seemed to drain the last bit of strength from Victoria. She offered no resistance, as the police led her away in handcuffs. Ava, too, seemed to accept her fate, the life draining from her eyes as she was escorted out. Only Caleb fought, thrashing and screaming obscenities at me, even as the police subdued him. You scheming, backstabbing snake. You'll rot in hell for this. Mason Carter, he shrieked. You think you've won? I'll get out, and I will kill you. You have no idea who you're dealing with. You worthless, pathetic orphan. You should have died in that crash with your brother. At least his heart was good for something. You're not even worth that. MMPH. His rant was cut short as someone shoved a dirty rag from a janitor's mop bucket into his mouth. The person holding it was Victoria Sterling's executive assistant, a quiet woman I'd known for years as Leah. The foul taste and smell of the rag made Caleb gag, tears of rage and disgust streaming down his face, but with his hands cuffed behind his back, he was helpless. After the three of them were loaded into separate police cars and driven away, the crowd of guests and media melted away, leaving the cavernous ballroom silent. Only Leah and I remained. Her eyes were red-rimmed, and she fought to hold back tears as she stepped forward and pulled me into a fierce hug. "Mason," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "4 years. We finally did it." "Yeah," I said softly, my gaze distant. "4 years. Liam can finally rest easy, knowing the people who hurt him are paying for it." My mind drifted back. Leah Peterson wasn't just a random secretary. She was Liam's classmate from college. And like us, she was an orphan, quiet and withdrawn. She had been a target for bullies at school. The torment had pushed her to the edge. To a day, she stood on the railing of a bridge, ready to jump. It was Liam who pulled her back. He risked his own life to save hers. Afterward, he wrote her letters of encouragement, stood up for her when others put her down, and became her first and only true friend. I never knew if Leah's feelings for Liam had blossomed into love. But what I did know was that their bond was as strong as family. On Liam's 19th birthday, Leah had used 3 months of part-time wages to buy him a new laptop. She and I had planned a surprise party for him at our apartment. But he never came home. We waited until after midnight, only to get the call telling us he was dead. A car accident. Their machine moved quickly. His body was whisked away, and all we were given was a small urn filled with what they claimed were his ashes. We had no power, no recourse. We knew how laughably weak we were against them, but we were also patient. I became Victoria Sterling's husband. Leah Peterson became her most trusted assistant. We infiltrated her empire, her life, and her circle of trust from 2 different directions. And today, we had finally dismantled the fortress she built around her brother and seized the justice that was 4 years overdue. 2 weeks later, Ava and Caleb had confessed to everything. Only Victoria remained silent. She refused to say a word, but made one request. She would give a full confession, but only after she saw me one last time. After a few moments of consideration, I agreed. It had only been half a month, but she looked as if she had aged a decade. Her eyes were tired and hollow, but when she saw me through the reinforced glass of the visiting room, a flicker of light returned to them. "Mason, thank you for coming to see me." Her voice was raspy. "You know, in the 15 days I've been in here, I haven't stopped thinking. I've replayed it all in my head 1,000 different ways. What if I had never done that monstrous thing? What if we had met differently? What if I had realized sooner what was in my own heart and chosen to love you, truly love you? Would things be different now?" She looked down at her cuffed hands on the table. "I took away the only family you had in this world. I know I have no right to ask you for anything." Her eyes lifted to meet mine again. "But there's one question, a question I have to have the answer to, even if it's the last thing I ever know." I said nothing. She stared at me, her voice cracking into a sob. "In the 4 years we were married, even if it was all for revenge, was there ever a moment, a single fleeting instant, where you felt something real for me? Did you ever love me?" She leaned forward, her body trembling with a desperate need to hear the answer. She watched me, her gaze almost pious. I didn't hesitate for a second. "No." My voice was flat, devoid of all emotion. "Victoria, every single second I was forced to spend with you made me feel sick." With those words, the last of my patience vanished. I stood up and walked out of the police station, leaving her to stare into the empty space where I had been, her expression utterly, finally, broken. I had only taken a few steps outside when I heard someone call my name. It was Victoria's lawyer, running to catch up to me, out of breath. He handed me an envelope. "Mr. Carter, Ms. Sterling insisted I give this to you. There's a bank card inside, assets she left for you, and a letter she wrote." I opened the envelope, took out the card, and handed the sealed letter back to him. "Do me a favor," I said. "Throw this away." Leaving the police station behind me, that chapter of my life, the years of hatred and vengeance, was finally closed. I donated every penny from the card to a local orphanage, and then I started volunteering there myself. Seeing the bright, hopeful smiles on the children's faces filled a part of me I thought was long dead. One afternoon, after a game of kickball with the kids, a warm spring breeze swept across the playground and rustled my hair. I closed my eyes. In that moment, I felt like it was Liam reaching out to hug me one last time. As if he were telling me, "It's okay, brother. You can move forward now. Everything is going to be okay."